Hey guys,
Welcome back to Faith Factor, where faith meets real life.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Tala. And today we're going to be continuing our testimony series. And I'll have our guest introduce herself.
Hey guys, my name's Aaliyah. I'm a sophomore studying elementary ed.
Yes, and in case this is your first time here, what a testimony is, it's just a personal story about what Jesus has done in your life. It's also your power against the enemy, a chance for you to get authentic and connect with others, and a chance for you to share your faith in the gospel story.
Yes, so we believe that testimonies are so powerful, and we're really excited for Aaliyah to share her authentic testimony with you guys. So let's get started.
Okay, so I grew up going to church. Religion was all around me. The church actually that we go to back home was started by my great aunt and great uncle. And my family still goes there to today. And so I've always had religion around me, and I grew up with the stories of Jesus' death and resurrection, his birth on Christmas, um, like Jonah and the whale, Job, all those stories. And I knew of God, but I didn't know him until later on in my life because I didn't build a relationship with him, and I didn't know I needed to do that. Um, and so I want to say during my middle school years, that's when I fell away from my faith, just because there were so many changes happening in my life that I was oh well, I don't know what I believe, and just kind of questioning everything. I would still go to church every Sunday, but I was questioning like the plans God had in my life and for my family, and also just I don't know, are you there, God? Are you actually there in my life? And I think what really solidified me stepping back was just my dad had moved away, and so I lost, I felt like I lost him just because our relationship wasn't that good when he did move away. um so that really hurt, and that caused my heart to harden, and I was really unforgiving towards people all throughout middle school, and I was actually kind of mean. And now that I look back on it, I don't know who that person was. um and so just middle school was very hard because I was also dealing with not having any self-love, not knowing my worth, or I was just really lost in everything, and getting caught up with what my friends were doing and wanting to live for the world and feel validated by the world, which wasn't right. And then I was still living that way until ninth grade when COVID hit, and that's when I felt really alone because I didn't have my friends. I had my family, but it was really hard just to go because I didn't know how to express myself. Like that's not how we were kind of raised. I didn't know how to express myself in ways, so telling people was hard. And I remember one night I was literally laying in bed and I was scrolling through TikTok, and this girl goes, "We're gonna start reading," I think it was Job, like the whole month. Yeah. So they're "We're gonna start reading this," and I was like, "You know what? I'll do it. What's the worst?" So I started the next day. I started journaling on my phone, in my notes app, and I still have them till today. um, but I started journaling, and after a week, I noticed a change. I felt more confident in myself, and I felt my heart softening, and I was more towards forgiving other people. And I know I still had a lot of work left. I still had a lot of work to do, but just starting my relationship with God, reading the book of Job really helped me. And I just saw so many changes in myself, changes in my relationships with my family members and my friends. And I was kind of on this high. When you get into your relationship and you're on a high, and you're or your relationship with God, and you're on a high, and you're oh my gosh, yeah,
Jesus has saved me. This is great.
yeah. And so I was on that for a while, and reading every day, journaling every day, praying. And then my junior year, I decided to get baptized. But I didn't really know much about baptism. And it was kind of a last minute decision I made. my aunt had told me like, okay, go back, watch the Sunday service that you missed, because I was working in the children's ministry, so I didn't get to see it live. So I had to go back and watch it. And when I watch things on live, my mind is like on so many other things. And so I wasn't really like, I didn't catch all of it, but I was like, you know what? I want to do this. Like, I feel like this is what I need to do. So then I told her I wanted to get baptized. The next day, I get baptized.
Wow.
And it was great. Like, you're the first week again, you're on
Yeah,
that.
you're like,
Yeah.
You're on
No.
top of the world. And everything's going good. But then like I also was like kind of reverting, like backsliding into my sins of just like wanting to like people please and like live for the world and do what everybody else is doing, just because I was like, well, I want people to like me, so I'm gonna do what they're doing. Yeah. And then I got to like my senior year, and I was still doing, like, I was living my life lukewarm, like very lukewarm. And I knew I was, but I wasn't willing to like turn from what I was doing. Like, I was just like, you know what? Like, it's my last year. I'm gonna like soak it up. Like, everybody talks about their high school experience and like, oh, like I went to prom and had such a good time, or I went on a date, or I got in a relationship, or like just like all of this stuff about high school. And I was like, this is my last year. I need to do everything.
Yeah.
And in the end, like it ended up hurting me more than anything. Like, I still had a good last year, but I was so far from God, like after getting baptized, that I was like, I don't know if I can go back, because I did get baptized. And I feel like there's steps after. Like, I felt like there were steps after, because I didn't know what to do afterwards.
Yeah.
And so then I was just kind of lost and didn't know like how I was going to continue. Like, I was still reading my Bible and journaling, but like I felt so far.
Yeah.
And then my freshman year of college, I moved, so I was away from my family. I didn't have my friends. I was even more isolated than before, like my freshman year of high school. And so it was just really tough because I wasn't really making any friends. I didn't know, like, I'm not a social butterfly, so making friends was kind of harder. Um, and then one day, like, my dad called me and he was like, we were talking, he was like, have you found like a church up there? I was like, no. And he goes, okay, you need to find a church home because that's important to be rooted in. And I go, okay, yeah, you're right. So I think like after I got off the phone call with him, I was like, okay, I need to like focus on this. So I typed in like churches in Flagstaff, and the first one to come up was Hope. And I was like, okay.
At Hope Church.
At Hope Church Movement.
At Hope Church Movement.
And it was like the first one to come up. And I remember the first Sunday kind of being hesitant to go, just because like I was like, well, I don't know, like I'm gonna be walking into this by myself. Like, I'm not going with anybody. Like, I don't know how they'll take me. Like, I was just nervous. But then I was like, okay, I need to go. So I went, and when I walked in, I kind of stood towards the back, and these two girls came up to me and they were like, hey, like, are you waiting for somebody, or like, are you here by yourself? And I was like, oh no, like, I just came by myself. This is my first time. And like, do you want to sit with us? And I go, oh my god. I was like,
wait, I'm gonna cry.
No, that's so sweet.
I was like, yes, like that would be so great.
That's
And
so beautiful.
they sat like towards the front. Mind you, when I was back at home at church, I sat towards the back. So then they were like, let's go to the front. So I was like, okay, guys, like, yeah. So I sat up front with them, and the church service was really good. Like, I just remember being like, wow, like this is explained so clearly. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I'm pretty sure he was talking about like community, which I needed.
That's
Exactly
so
what you
good.
needed.
That's good.
And he was like, fill out your first time's visitors card and we can get you connected. And I literally sat there, filled it out, turned it in. And then, like, I think within 2 days, I got a text saying, hey, we're going to have a connect group at my house. Like, I can have somebody pick you up. And I go, okay, first, I was a little wary because I was like, my mom, yeah, I was like, who are you? I didn't meet you. Who's gonna pick me up? Whose car am I getting in?
Yeah, no,
And so like the first one, I didn't go to like the first connect group, but then I went to the next one, and like I met so many amazing girls there who like were very authentic and just like shared their stories with me. Like, I'm new, like they don't even know me and they're opening up to stuff. Like,
yeah.
that was very different for me. And so like I was like, wow, okay, like I want to do that. Like I want to be able to do that. And so then I kept going back to church, and I think it was like October 8th, we had a guest speaker. And at the end, he was like, if you want to rededicate your life to Christ, like say this prayer. And I was like, okay, yes. So I rededicated my life to Christ on October 8th of 2023.
Yay!
And I think that was the best, like, that's the best decision I ever made in my life, to go back to Christ. And I like completely saw like another change in my life that I wasn't expecting. Like, I don't know, I was just okay. Like, even though I was alone, like, I was okay with it because I had God. And like, I was like, okay, like, maybe this is my season of just like being in your presence, God, because I wasn't before.
Yeah.
And so, like, I learned like a lot during that. And like, just how to like navigate my life without my family, and like alone, and depending on God more than I would on the world. And so like I got even more connected in, like plugged into the church, and like I met so many new people. And then the second semester starts and I get asked about like baptism. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can get baptized for a second time. But then it was clarified to me like what baptism actually is. And so when it was clarified to me, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I'm 100% sure this time. Like, I'm not doing this for any other reason. I'm doing this to like bury my old life and like not go back to it because I can't. And so I was like, yeah, I'll get baptized. So then on April 14th of 2024, I got baptized. um, and yeah, later on, I became a member of the church. And it's just been amazing because like there's so many times I prayed and prayed and prayed in my like it's in my journal. Like I just praying to God for like friends like who were also living this kind of life and like walking their faith out daily. And he literally blessed me with it in an abundance. Like just so many people that I've met. And I'm also getting to do the same thing, like sharing my testimony and being authentic with other people, like those girls did, like the second Connect group I went to.
Yeah.
And so it's just been really amazing to see what he's done in my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, that is so good. And I feel like what you were saying in the beginning and like how it moved into the end, like, and I definitely relate with like how you were like you dedicated your life to Christ, but it's like you weren't sure at the time, and it's like, but and feeling like you were too far gone or like it was too late or something. I definitely relate to that. But I think it's so beautiful how you shared like you got back, and it's like it just shows like it's never too late to give your life to Christ, and it's like never too late to go back. Like no matter what happened in your past, like you like tried and you gave your life to Christ and you grew up in that like with that like surrounding you, I guess. But it's like your past like being and like you were saying like you're surrounded by religion, and I feel like that kind of goes back to saying like you what Pastor B says is all the time, like you can be in a pool of water, you can be in a pool of water but you can be dehydrated. And it's like you were surrounded by like people like that knew like, and you learned about God, and like how you're saying like you knew the Bible, but it's like a relationship is so much different. And like now like seeing you now, like you have a relationship with God, and it's like it's so beautiful like how you came from that point and feeling like you were too far gone and like where you are now. And like I think that's so beautiful, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So sweet.
Also, I think you said this in our last video, but just like the importance of having a community is like so big. Because even in like Izza's testimony, she was like, God knew like you were gonna need community, so He gave it to you. And also a point that I really like that you said was like you're never too far gone for God to come get you.
Yeah.
Jesus. But I also had a question. When you were reading the book of Job, was there anything that like really stuck out to you that was like, dang, like the way I'm living my life right now is just not right?
I think it was like when God was like when he was being tested, basically. And like he lost his family, he lost basically everything, like the clothes off his back. He just was lost.
Yeah.
And I think what stuck out was just like how even though he lost everything, he was still so faithful to God.
Yeah.
And like praying to him in that moment. Because I know like when I lost like my grandma, I was really devastated and like couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I was like kind of mad at God. I was like,
Yeah.
You like took my grandma. And then like also just like when my dad left too, like to go out of state for work, I was like, well, that's another person like I just
Yeah.
lost
It's probably
too.
like really related to like dang, and it was COVID too,
Yeah.
so you're like, dang, everything is gone, everyone is gone.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to
So
do?
I was just like him being like Joe being faithful in that moment. I was like, wow, like I don't that's not how I'm living my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm holding on to so much hurt and anger and pain for what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I feel like no, I really like, and I going like all the way back to like when you started the book of Job and like coming here and like everything you were saying about like your first service being about like rededicating your life, it like to me it like it sounds like it all like worked out like in God's plans. Like I feel like that is what he was like planning for you to do, like to go to that service and like to rededicate your life. Like it was all like working out, and like where you are now, it just shows like how your life had changed from then, and like just like the community he gave you. It's just so like it's so like fulfilling knowing like God is going to provide, and like he provided you with the community and like the knowledge and the people that were wanting to like teach you about what God really has to say, and like that it's never too late. And I feel like just definitely what he put in your life is like what brought you there, and I'm like that's really beautiful and I really love that. So yeah, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Do you have anything to say first though?
No. Thank you though. That's really sweet. Like what you were saying.
Oh.
Yeah, also I would just like to like, I don't know, spotlight you, I guess. Like it's just so amazing that you even like had the confidence to go walk into like a church you've never been to by
Yeah.
yourself. Like that takes a lot.
Yeah, guys, I have really bad social
Yeah.
anxiety. So walking in there, I was like on the inside freaking out. And
Yeah.
in my head, I was like, what am I doing? Like, I should go back to
Yeah.
my room. Like, I should
God.
retreat.
Okay, something that we also say a lot is that like God honors faith risk. So like that was a huge faith risk for
Yeah.
you. So God was like, and now we're providing in abundance,
Yeah.
and that's just
Yeah.
so cool.
Well, that's crazy. Like to go there your first time alone, like that's scary. But it's like also when you said like they came up to you and like, do you want to say? I almost cried,
Oh, I did
guys.
cry.
That
I
is
was like,
so
yes.
sweet.
No, it was
And
really sweet.
yeah, and it's like I don't know like if this is what you're thinking, but it's like I feel like that's like kind of how it felt like for a lot of us, like just like having the right community, and like it could have been like them that you're like let me like come again, or like the way they were treating you, which is so important, like the way that like Christians treat others who are just like beginning or like curious about their faith, like it's so important. And that's just so beautiful that they went up to you and like, do you want to sit with us? That's so cute. But oh my goodness. Yeah, I almost cried at that part.
I also like that you're like now doing that for other people.
Mhm.
That also gets me.
That's
I
good.
love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have anything else to add?
Mm, no, kind of like you were saying, like being able to do that for other people. I guess it's just because like I saw them doing it for other
Yeah.
like for me. So like I want to be able to do that for the next person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just like be a friend to them. Like that's my big thing is like building relationship with others, because I know what it's like to like be alone and not really have friends.
Yeah.
So like if I can be a friend to them,
You
that's
will.
great for
So
me.
sweet.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. No, that is so cute. It's amazing. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Ask away.
Okay. So I know like just like a little bit of what you shared before, like with your dad moving away, and like I know you have siblings, right? What is like your familial relationship? Family relationship? One of the two. What was it like then versus like now? Like has God helped you reconnect or
Okay, so when I was younger, my mom and I we like clashed heads a lot just because I was very close to my grandma and my aunt. So like I would like run to them whenever my mom did something I didn't like, because I was like, well, my mom isn't gonna do this for me, so I know my grandma and my aunt will. So
Oh.
I'd run to them,
That's good.
and so like we just like clashed a lot, and like there was a point where I was like, I don't even know if my mom likes me. Like I was like so confused, and I'm like in like elementary school, like kind of dealing with this, and then like towards high school is when it started getting better. Like that's when I saw our relationship change. just because like I started going to her more, knowing like I can open up to my mom,
Aw.
because like she's always there for me,
Yeah.
and like she's somebody I go to all the time, and so like just knowing I have something in my eye, just
She's actually
knowing
crying.
yes, just knowing I can go to my mom, because like she was always like, you guys can always talk to me like
Yeah.
about this stuff, and she was there for me like when my anxiety got really bad, and like
Mhm.
I would like panic at night before going to bed,
Mhm.
and like she would always be there to like calm me down and like
That's
root
so
me, and
sweet.
like she would quote Bible verses and like tell me what to
Mm.
read like for anxiety. And so I feel like that's when it changed, like just
Yeah.
seeing that in my life
Yeah.
change. And then also with like my siblings, like it's like I'm nice to them, and I'm like
That's
more
important.
forgiving. Yeah. I'm like more forgiving and patient with them, especially because I
Yeah.
do have so many. So like I feel like
Give us
God.
give us a family rundown real quick.
Okay. I I have 8 siblings. So I have an older brother, and then I have 2 younger sisters,
Not
and
nuns.
What do you say?
They're not nuns, in case you were
Oh.
yeah.
wondering.
I have 2 younger sisters, and I believe it's five five younger brothers. Yeah, five younger
Wow.
brothers. So I didn't grow up with all of them, but I do have like I grew up with like my older brother, my
Yeah.
sister, and then 2 of my younger brothers.
Mhm.
And so like just that, like there's already enough like going on in our
No, real,
house.
real.
Like so much. Like different personalities, different moods, different behaviors, everything.
Behaviors is
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Different behaviors.
I was like, are we in a psychology class right now?
just different things going on.
Different psychological
I had to use some
tendencies.
operant conditioning on that.
So we had that going on. And also my mom was raising us like by herself. Like
Yeah.
she
Mhm.
was
That's
a
always
single
tough.
mom. So like yeah, it was just I grew a lot of patience for them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I went to the major that I am in now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
That's really good.
Who, like, did you have a sibling that you were kind of like, I don't want to say like thugging it out with, but like, who you're like really close to, kind of like took you with them, or like you guys went through it together?
Okay, my older brother. Okay, I love him. He's great. When I was younger, we didn't really get along. Just because
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, my mom might favor him more than she favors me.
It's just like that age where it's like, especially if you're the older siblings, like, all right, when they gonna be young enough to, like, old enough to be chill?
Yeah.
Like,
So like my older brother, he like when I was younger, we didn't really get along, but like he was always there for me in a way, even though like he was like he's 5 years older than me.
okay.
So like starting from like kindergarten, he would like walk me, like we would walk together to like the aftercare that we would go to,
That's so cute.
and like during like first grade, that's when I had to like start doing it by myself, and I was like, man, I miss my brother.
Yeah.
He's in like junior high, and then he like started playing football and like all this other stuff, but like he was just always there, and like
So cute.
he's
That
still
is
there
really
today.
cute. Aw.
Thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, we did thug it out together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a
That's
lot of
really
stuff.
cute.
Thugged it out together.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. That's really cute. I did want to ask about something else. I feel like I just remembered you mentioned this earlier of like being in high school and like wanting to live like by the world and like please other people.
Yeah.
And like what was that like? I know you said it wasn't like fulfilling, and I feel like this kind of goes back to what we were talking about this week, like you can, I'm trying to think of the words that we use, but it's like you won't be fulfilled by like trying to live by the world, but it's
Yeah.
like when you live by God's like by the word of God, you have no regrets because there's nothing that you're losing. So it's like, is that kind of what it was like living in high school and wanting to experience everything?
Yeah, I think like just it wasn't anything crazy, but just like because like my friends cuss, so then I was also using that
Mhm.
same type of language,
Mhm.
and then gossip was a huge thing also, and like just like it was a lot
Mhm.
because like my friend in middle school, she wanted to like go to the skate rink and like meet up with boys all the time. And so like I'd be the friend that would like tag along cuz her mom was okay with it. So
Mm.
like then I was introduced to like this world of boys and like, oh my gosh, like I want their attention, like oh my goodness.
Mhm.
And like that kind of led up into like high school, like ninth grade. But then I was like, what am I doing? Like I don't, this isn't
Mhm.
fulfilling at all.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, like you get their attention for like 2 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why am I doing this? Like
Yeah.
what's the purpose? So like also that, and just like gossip was a main, like was a huge
Mhm.
thing. Like
Yeah.
seeing the way that like my friends would talk about somebody and then turn around and be nice to them,
Mhm.
because I'd be like, well, wait, like, why do we not like her? Like, I actually really like her, but they're like, but she did this and she did that,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, okay, okay, so we all don't like her.
Yeah.
Like, all right, guys, even though I really like the person,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
that could have
it's
been a
like
great,
following the herd.
yeah, that could
Mhm.
have been a great friendship I could have had.
Mhm.
And then like also seeing the way that I talked about people, like just like because I was following them, that eventually like seeped into me, and I was like
Mhm.
talking about somebody I thought was my friend
Yeah.
in a way that like you would think I don't like them at all. Like we
Yeah.
weren't friends. So
No, I definitely relate to that, like being in the past. And like I think it goes back to like the community you surround yourself with, because literally everyone you surround yourself with or just people you know, like they will influence you. And I feel like that kind of goes back to like it's so important to surround yourself with like a community that fulfills you and
yeah,
that is living like the way you want to be living and like following what you want to follow. And like and for me that would be like God's word. Like I don't want to be living by the world. And that's kind of what you were saying is like just I don't know, like I really like how you added in that it wasn't fulfilling to you, because I totally relate to that. And it's like wanting to like live a way that actually is like not gonna like you're gonna live by no regrets. And
yeah.
I really like how you added that into your story. I literally just remembered that, and so I thought I would ask about that. But yeah.
You have anything to say? Okay. Okay, kind of like going on like what you started talking about, how like you didn't feel fulfilled, and then you were like, sorry, you were like, I was like gossiping and stuff. Something that when you were talking like the first time, I was like, it's such a worldly thing to be like, oh, enjoy your childhood, so you have like no regrets doing all these bad things, and then you go into high school and it's like, well, it's high school, so like I'm gonna do like the whole high school experience, and then you go into college, and it's like, well, it's college, so I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
doing that, and then you're in your 20s, and it's like, well, I'm in my 20s, I'm still young. It's in your 30s, you're like, well, I'm basically still young, and then it's in your 40s, and it's like, well, I'm almost 50, so I'm basically old,
Yeah.
and then once you're old, it just keeps going and going and
It's just
going.
a cycle.
Yes, literally, I was like just thinking about that the whole time because I was like, I hear that a lot, but then like once people find like God, they're like every time they're like, no, that's not how I want to live.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's like also so beautiful.
Yeah. And I feel like it's also like the divide it causes and like the divide between like communities, or just like I feel like it also causes a lot of like comparison, or like just what you were saying before. I don't know if this is how you felt, but like just feeling like low self-esteem, or like not like you're worthy enough for anything. And that's definitely what I feel like God can change, is like he'll let you know like you are worth so much, and like he loves you so much, and it's like you're not defined by how you act in the world and like how other people view you, which I think is so important. And I just really like how that's kind of what you were saying, like it's not important how other people view you, and it's like people pleasing, what you were saying, like just please God. And like
Yeah.
he already loves you so much. God already loves you so much. You don't have to do anything to make him love you more, because he already does. So
That's so good.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
It kind of like reminds me like when you were talking about like low self-esteem, like feeling that way like when I was first coming to God. And I remember like listening to this song, and at the end it's like First Peter 2:9,
Mm.
and I was like, it's like you're a royal priesthood, or like a royal people, a chosen people, and I was like, that's gonna stick with me forever, because I think that's when it changed for me. Like I am chosen by God, and like there's billions of people out there, but like each of us are chosen. Like he took
Yeah.
time like making us, and like deciding like, oh, okay, like this is where they're gonna go, and like planning
Yeah.
out everything
That's so
for
good.
us.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like when my self-esteem started to build, because I was like, I'm a daughter of God, like a
Yes.
daughter of a king.
Finding your identity in Christ versus the world.
Yeah. And so like I can totally relate to what you were saying, but I just think the way you put it was very beautiful.
Yeah, you cooked on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. I also have something else I kind of wanted to bring up was when you're talking about how your relationship with your mom was like kind of like far and you were a little bit separated. And this is kind of going back to what we said last time with Izza. Like, biblical advice is the best advice you can give someone. And the way you're saying, like, when you were having like trouble, like anxiety or just like trouble with like, I guess your life, and like your mom would read you verses that would help with that. And it's like, that kind of goes back to like, that is the best way you could possibly help someone. And I feel like it's also showing like, God wanted to heal that relationship between you and your mom. And it's like, with her doing that and like giving you God's word, like, that's what healed it and brought you guys close together. And it's like, that's also really beautiful to me because I don't know, did that help you a lot? Like, I know it like brought you closer to your mom, but it's like just what she would tell you like in those times of stress. With that, like, how do you feel?
It actually it helped quite a bit. And like I would have like these like random panic, like anxiety, like late at night too. And so like I would go in her room and I'd be like, I'm freaking out right now. Like my mind is going 100 miles an hour right
Yeah.
now, and I can't seem to calm it down, or like I'm just like struggling with all these thoughts. And she's like, okay, what are you thinking? Like she's like trying to break it down for me.
Yeah.
And then she'd be like, Aaliyah, at the end of the day, like the enemy is like trying to get you, like he's trying to get you in his grasp.
Yeah.
And like she would like quote these Bible verses to me, and like she still does it today. She sends me Bible verses. And like she's just like been like almost like a guide for me, just because my mom is also a Christian.
Yeah.
She's actually a minister at our church. And like just like seeing her faith, like my mom also Bibles and journals, so like that's like seeing her do that and like also walk out her faith daily and like serve God and like raise us up in like a household like that was just like, I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah.
that's like the
That's
blueprint.
how it should
Like
be,
yeah.
Yeah,
good.
that's really beautiful. Like, shout out to your mom. And that's just like knowing like to do that when you were like in those times. It's like that's like amazing. And I feel like that could be so helpful to like so many people, just like knowing where to go. And it's like even now, like in your times of struggle, do you say like you would go to like verses or like to help you like calm yourself down?
I definitely do. Like I look more towards like journaling just because I can get my thoughts out.
Yeah.
So like it's like a conversation. Like at the start of my journal, I always go, "Dear God,"
Yeah.
And
No,
then I
literally.
like write
Yeah.
down everything in my head right at that moment. And like I'll also turn on worship music because that helps a lot too. And like it definitely helps because when I think about what I would turn to what I turn to now, there's such a big difference.
Yeah, that's really good. Oh, that's really beautiful. Yeah, shout out to your mom for teaching you and like
Malia.
Oh yeah.
Malia. Oh my goodness, that's really cute.
I know.
Malia and
Well,
Aaliyah.
her full name's Malia Lisa, but she goes by Malia.
Can we name?
Yeah, you
At
can.
Malia Lisa.
Wait.
Oh, at Malia Lisa. Aaliyah's mom. Wait, your names kind of go really good
No,
together.
yeah, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's good. Sorry. I was
People-
saying it in my head.
It's okay. People get it mixed up.
No, I think it's really good.
It's cute.
Rochelle is her last name.
No, it's Clever.
Clever?
Glover
With a G or a C?
with a G.
Glover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Malia Lisa Clover.
Yeah.
Is that her middle name? What's her middle name?
Her middle name is.
I know her full
sorry,
name.
Her name is Malia Lisa Trejo Glover.
I'm not gonna try and say that whole thing because I'm gonna forget. But it's good.
Yeah.
No, that's really good. I feel like you had so much. No, thanks. I feel like your whole testimony, like, there's so many good points, and I keep like going back, and I'm like, that was good. That was good.
Literally.
And it's like the way it all worked out in the end, and it's like, I don't know, like, it just seems like that was God's plan for you. It was like to what really is sticking with me is like the first service you went to being about rededicating your life. That's really good. But no, that was really beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing, because no, that was really, really beautiful. I've never heard your whole testimony before, so this is exciting.
Thanks, guys.
Ditto.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in on your face when you said that.
Please no. You know what? I'm the one who edits the videos anyway, so no, we're not.
Oh!
Zoom in on her face.
I was there watching for a little bit.
She did her due diligence.
Yeah, she gave me a dragon.
Yeah.
This is good. Both of them.
Both of them.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
We're not ready.
Oh.
Guys, I just want to say, when I started losing it in the beginning, it's because my stomach wouldn't stop growling.
I thought you were laughing at me. I'm like,
no, it was so loud.
it's like you're laughing
So
at my
bad.
hand movements. It's like, calm down.
No, it was...
We're back. So we just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Aaliyah, for coming on the podcast. And we just really loved your testimony and like absolutely everything about it, just the way it all works out in the end, and how God was working in your life, and how He repaired relationships is really beautiful. And thank you for sharing so authentically. Yeah, and if you guys like want to talk to her about anything, like if you related, we're gonna drop her at in the video. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much. I didn't know we were doing sandwich. So I was like, well, I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me on. You guys have such good questions, and just the way you guys kind of like explain things is beautiful. So thank you.
Yes, well, thank you so much for coming on. I know a lot of people are going to relate to your story. And as I said in the last video, I also got convicted during this one, which is really good. But catch us in our next video for another testimony.
Smash that like button! And drop a dragon in the comments if you made it to this part of the video.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Guys, let's pose for the thumbnail.